Hello, hi good people. My name is Kelvin Kava, as you already know. You can call me Kev, you can call me Kelki, zote ni zangu. And once again, I'm here, and this is yet another exciting episode of Talks with Kev. And sininiwaambia bado tuko CP, na tulikuwa tunapiga story. And we were experiencing the awesomeness of the school and the alumni of the school. And kwa ile interview ya kwanza na principal, kuna mahali niliita mtu anonymous, mtu hataki kutokea kwa kamera. So miungu zangu zikanisaidia, and at long last akakubali kuingia kwa kamera. So we want to hear the amazing story of one of the first students of the school. So situsikie story. Hello sir.
Jambo Kevin.
Fiti sana, ni aje?
Salama sana.
Uko fiti?
Nashukuru.
Sitasema jina yako. I want you to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And I want you to explain to my good people kwa nini umekataa kamera kwanza.
Yeah. Now, my name's Edward Obwocha. And sikukataa kamera. It's only that there are guys who are born as far the first row people, and those guys who are born the backbenchers.
Backbenchers.
I always like being at the backbench.
Okay.
As I watch the first row people do their thing. So I love watching and listening first before I do anything.
Okay. Yeah. The first row people ni akina sisi.
Ni akina nyinyi. Yeah.
Okay. We are experiencing the awesomeness of St. Patrick's. And it's St. Patrick's, right?
Yeah.
St. Patrick's.
Though I prefer calling it CP. Coaching program.
The coaching program. Now, I'm sure they already know what coaching program is. You were here for the former interviews. Now, we want to hear your story. How you got into CP, how you got there, and how the experience at CP.
Yeah, my story is really a very simple story, and I think it's a God-guided story.
Okay.
Because when I joined CP first in the second term.
Okay.
When the school had started and they had one term already finished. So one of my uncles had sent me to KCSE town to go and enroll as a driver.
Which year is this?
That was 1995.
Oh my God.
So this guy, he had some lorries in Mombasa and Nairobi. And because they couldn't sponsor me to a secondary school, there was no money my family could afford. So they decided to take me to a driving school.
Okay.
I remember it very well, like yesterday. It was KCSE Obwocha driving school.
Okay.
So I went, got the documents, and then from there I went to Mosocho. I liked reading.
Okay.
I went to a library, a public library, Mosocho Library.
Okay.
I entered into the library and started reading a book called Tintin, Adventures of Tintin.
You remember the book?
Yes, because I loved that, the Tintin cartoon with the illustrations, and it was really nice.
Okay.
Little did I know that in that library there was a school that had started.
Okay.
And there was a school ongoing inside there as I was reading in the back bench. I told you about back bench.
Yeah.
And then I remembered that particular point that my sister told me there is a school in Mosocho that has been started by the brothers.
Okay.
So what I did, I inquired whether it is the school that is in that library, because I thought maybe it was in a like Cardinal Tunga or St. Mary's or some big building. Somebody told me yes, it's that school, and so I wanted to be part of it.
Okay.
I went to their office that particular day, met one Mr. Jeremiah. Mr. Jeremiah, I showed him my result slip, but he told me I need to come with my parents.
Okay.
Then my parents were alive. My mother was very sick. My dad was wazee tu wa kijiji. And again, I couldn't go to my home to go get my parents up to here. None of them was in a position to come a distance of more than 100 meters from his compound. And you remember, this is about 20 kilometers from my home to this Mosocho. So I remembered one Mr. Onyari, who was an headmaster before in our primary school, Miranga, where I did my KCP. I remembered he was transferred to a school in Mosocho, which is St. Patrick's Primary. So I went there. I wanted him to come and sit in as a parent, because I really want to go to school. So Mr. Onyari seeing me there, he had a term that he used to call people that he doesn't like that much. Of course, if you are a naughty boy. So he shouted to me, "Mabembe, what are you doing here?" Mabembe is, I don't know what it means, but Mabembe should be an ugly young boy.
It even sounds like...
Yeah. So I explained to him, and he took me back to Mr. Jeremiah. Luckily, before we reached Jeremiah, we found one man, and later on I learned that was Brother Sifuna.
The amazing Brother Sifuna.
Yes, the amazing Brother Sifuna. Now, showing him my results, because I was working with it, he was very happy with my results, and he asked me why I've not gone to school. So I explained my situation, and he decided to... Actually, that particular day, I was given a 200-page exercise books, 11 of them. In my whole life, the biggest exercise book I'd held in my hand was 32 page.
32 page.
Yes. So I was given 11 books, 200 page. And I was told I've been recruited to a school. Just like that.
I want to take you back just a bit.
Please do.
You gave him your results, right?
Yes.
I want to hear what the results entailed.
Oh my God. Nilikuwa nimebomoa kutoka huko Miranga Primary School. You know, Miranga Primary School is barely 250 meters from my home. That's a walking distance. So I had about 492 marks out of 700. And I had qualified, and I was called to a very good school, I think in Thika Road, called Mangu High School. Nilikuja kuijua. Sasa after nimekuja Nairobi, nimekuwa kaanza kushikashika hii dunia.
So history ya Wakisii kupita mtihani ni ukweli?
Yes. My friend, we are sharp. Hii ingine hii watu wanaongea hapa. We are sharp. We are very sharp. Yeah. Now, I just got recruited to school. I was given a challenge by Brother Sifuna that particular day. He told me, come to school the way you are tomorrow. So, I didn't have school uniform. I didn't have nothing. So he told me, just come the way you are. Remember, I didn't have shoes.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah? The only thing I could call a uniform was my brother. My brother had finished secondary school. And he had a blue, poor, I think this color, blue pullover, and a blue short. Of course, with some, those are details.
Horns.
Yes. So that is what I deliver the first day to that school. And remember, the school guys were reporting at about 11. That following day, I was there at 6:30. I mean, it's school. Me, I want to go to school. I was there at 6:30. I sat in that door.
You were that excited?
Yes. I sat kwa hiyo mlango from 6:30 up to about 8. Nobody's passing by there. I mean, nobody's there. Then, some guy, I think when God decides to help you, He brings people along your journey that will always help you.
Yes.
Some guy called Mr. Oroko. Oroko, used to make mandazi somewhere hapo karibu na hapo. Oroko decided to give me one piece of mandazi and chai. He asked me, unafanya nini hapo? Nikamwambia nimekuja shule. Akaniuliza shule ya Sifuna? Nikamwambia wanakujanga saa 8. Na sasa ni saa 2 my friend.
Anakujanga
saa 8. Na ni saa 2 niko hapo sasa hizo nimepigwa baridi. You know you have that couple over, there is nothing inside.
Yes.
A short na kitabu, hizo vitabu ulipewa jana kwa Juala. So he gave me a kachai, very hot, and mandazi moja, and he asked me to sit hapo kwa bench yake. Alikuwa anachomea mandazi. For those people who know hiyo place ya Oroko, kuna mti ilikuwa imegongwanga na lori kitambo. Sasa hapo alikuwa anachomea mandazi. So I decided to sit there as I was watching vehicles pass. You know, our home na mahali lami iko. Actually it was an achievement first that nimetoka huko kuja hapa karibu na lami. At least naweza ona lori ikipita na nisikimbishe. You know, huko kwetu lazima uikimbishe kutoka nyuma.
No, Daniel.
Yeah, so I sat there and then kidogo nikaona mtu amepita. Ameenda amefungua hiyo library. That was one good friend of mine aitwa Geoffrey Getenga.
Geoffrey.
We were with him in the
Yes.
Yeye na kijana mwingine aitwa Steve, who is a priest right now. And yeah, so nikafuata. The Oroko told me, ndio wale wanafunzi enda wafuate enda msome. So we went, we sat. Oh God, it was really nice. People ridiculed us, people called us names. I remember including my own dad saying, sasa hiyo gumbaro mmeenda mtamaliza lini? Another guy who called it, I won't mention his name, but is related to my brother. Is boss to my brother, who wanted me to be a driver to his vehicles. But now I've decided otherwise I'm going to school. So he says, haita kusaidia hiyo gumbaro. So, but who is God? God akiamua kukupangia vitu, he'll always make sure that they happen.
Yeah, because Edna, the mheshimiwa told me that they used to go to functions and people would say hao ndo watu wa ile shule ambao.
Ile ambao, yeah, 20 bob. Yes. Because honestly, the school fees that time when I joined, the school fees was 300 shillings, but I was exempt for the first 2 terms. The reason was, Brother Sifuna, as I told you, gave me a challenge.
Okay.
Told me, I've joined 1 week to exams.
Okay.
So if you've joined 1 week to exams, if you defeat even one person, I'll pay for your school fees for this term and next term, and then you will proceed to Form 2.
And what happened?
Oh, you just read it. We were 12 guys, just like Sifuna used to call it the 12 apostles of Jesus. And I managed to defeat 4 people. I was number 8 out of 12. I remember the people I defeated. By name.
Don't mention them.
I can mention. I defeated Florence, Grace. I defeated Makone. It was Fred Makone. And then I defeated some guy from Manga. I don't remember his name. Vincent.
I was really hoping you don't say Geoffrey.
No, it's okay. Geoffrey, wao walikuwa shanza, walikuwa chopi. So I defeated those guys.
Okay.
4. Coming to term 3, God's grace, I was in position 2.
Wow.
Defeated by one Steve Mose. Stephen Mose, who's the priest now. And now, second year, up to vile nilimaliza shule, I always tell my kids I was position 1 to the last day of school. Na wanasemanga, second year I was position 1. We used to compete between me, Stephen Mose, and Beatrice Ondieki. Beatrice Ondieki, a very good friend of mine.
So you were number 1 from the second year till
to the last day I left that school.
Kumbe silikuwa peke yangu.
Yeah, you know. you need somebody to testify, but for me, I know guys will testify. Yeah,
I can promise you I don't have anyone who can testify.
My journey at CP was a journey, I think, that was, I can honestly say, it wasn't my own making.
Okay.
Because sometimes things were so difficult that you feel like you cannot survive. Remember, the distance I'm walking from my home to this school is about 20-30 kilometers a day. So that is 60 kilometers going and to and fro. So sometimes it could rain on the sides of Mosocho. Nikifika huko, for those guys who know, nikifika huko Mogusi kuenda Raganga, it's not raining. Nimeangukiwa, my friend, mvua na loa maji. So then ukifika home, sometimes it's so muddy in a way that you cannot walk through, but we still could manage. There's a bridge that we used to pass, ambayo ni miti, imewekwa miti 3. Logs zimeangushwa hivi. Imagine it's raining and you're supposed to balance through those logs. And you feel like, I mean, you don't know whether to give up or whether to proceed, because the world where you come from is too hostile. The world where you come, which is CP, is so friendly. So in the evening you go to the hostile world. In the morning you come to a very friendly world. So, but we managed. We tulingangana. At when I was in Form 3, my mother now developed more complications. She was sick all through. And I remember one brother, Evans Omosa, went to pick my mother bila mimi kujua. Ampeleke OC. And it so happened that when he came back, he gave a report to Sifuna, to brother Sifuna. That huyu kijana mahali anatoka, ni mbali. Ni mbali sana na mama yake ni mgonjwa, nasikia na yani the whole story. So brother Sifuna decided, having seen this kind of brain that I had, brother Sifuna decided to more of move me from my home and put me somewhere here in Mosocho so that we can concentrate. And I remember him telling me I should not get worried about my mother. One phrase that he always liked telling everybody that time when we were growing was, do not be afraid. So I remember he told me very clearly, one-on-one, he told me, do not be afraid about your mother. The God who created her and you knows that your mother is sick and you are over this side.
Wow.
Unaelewa?
Yes.
So brother Sifuna akatuweka vijana 6 in one house. I think he had borrowed that house from the principal of Cardinal Tunga, Mr. Ondieki. It was a muddy house, but very nice, well done. So he decided to put us there. We were, actually, I don't know whether we were 6. I think we were more than 6. We were me, it was me, Richard Mugendi, James Nyarieko, Vincent Ombaye, Cosmas, and who else? Patrick Oburu, yeah. I think those are the guys I can remember. From my home, as much as we were poor, we were few. Hatungewaingangania chakula. My friend, nilikuja hapa food inawekwa kwa meza before nirudishe mkono hivi imeisha. So it was terrible. Most of the time I used to sleep hungry.
if there is one experience I'm loving, it's how you remember every detail about that.
I do, you know.
Meaning it was an experience. It was an amazing experience. It was.
And I remember every single step. I remember every person who gave me more of like a shoulder to lean on.
Okay.
As much as we were many in this group where Brother Sifuna decided to take us, it was an experience. Because again, relating with these guys was not a joke. A friend like Vincent Ombai had a heart hivi. Ukimkosea ni mara moja amekushika. Anakuwekelea ngumi vibaya sana. But thank God mimi hatakuwa vikishana na yeye hapo. So the thing is, and then Brother Sifuna could pass every evening with a big torch kukuja kutuangalia. One day he came and found us eating ugali and omena. And he sat with us. Na tukakula. That day I think nilishiba kidogo kwa sababu hawakuwa wanaenda mbio. Tulikula. So, and yeah, it was an experience. Of course, at some point I came out and I complained to Brother Sifuna. I told him, I'm having it so rough down there. And then I asked him if I could ask kuna a grandee, a grandma sort of, who had houses uko karibu na kwa Onyonka uko juu. So nikaenda nikaomba huyo mama nyumba. Na Brother Sifuna decided to sponsor me with some unga, hivyo. And then Brother Kirui came in and gave me more of like a job. Can't call it a job. It's like more of what to do. So every Saturday I used to go napalilia skuma ya Brother Kirui behind St. Mary's.
Okay.
Naipalilia, alikuwa na nguruwe hapo, unazipea those leaves zenye zimeharibika, unaelewa? And then unatengeneza hizo channel mahali hiyo mavi ya nguruwe inapita ikienda. And from that I could get my food. So that naenda jioni na ananitolea gorogoro kama 5. In fact 2. Anakupea mahindi gorogoro 2. Unaenda unasiaga ile skuma, unakata kidogo, unapeleka kwa nyumba unakula. But now there was a challenge there. The challenge was the house I was given by the grandee. Mbele ilikuwa ni kama duka na nyuma ndio nimepewa kanyumba. Hapa kwa duka alikuwa pepea kijana mwingine who was in KCSE High School. Anakuja holidays anakaa hapo kwa hawana nyumba. Do you know what happened? This guy decided to plot away that nitoke hapo. So akakuja akaambia the whole community nimemuibia manguo. He had Savco, you know those Savco, those jeans, nini. So wakanipeleka bana mpaka akaleta mganga bana. Wakaleta mganga bana. Mganga akakuja na matawi na maji. Akasema
afukuze.
No, ati kama ni bebe juu hivi. Na kama ni mimi niliiba, tanda inipige mara 3. You know the way God works? God works in a very mysterious way. In the process, Sifuna was passing to check on his boys. It was a Saturday during the day. Okay. Then Sifuna akakuja akapata hiyo maneno zikifanyika kauliza, what is happening here? I thought somebody told him. What is happening here? So I explained to him and then he said, no, don't worry. His normal stanza, do not be afraid. What he did, he got a Bible, Good News Bible, a blue. Okay. I remember as if it was yesterday. Akanipea na akawaambia they should also swear that is true if you are the one who stole, those things happen to you. And if kama wanakuekelea, may God judge them. Which they refused to carry. They refused to carry that Bible. But nilikaa na hiyo Bible for long. For hata sijui ilikuja kupotea maybe after nimeanza ku renovate kwetu na nini. Yeah, so Then now we reached Form 4. Brother Sifuna got an accident when we were doing exams.
Okay.
In that newsletter, I saw a letter that he had written to us while in hospital, and it was really inspiring. We became like a family. CP became more of like a real family. Because when my mother passed on, when I was in Form 3, the whole of CP stopped. Remember, I was one among the students that Brother Sifuna could look at. And he had given me a responsibility of being a head boy. Let me take you back a bit. In Form 2, when I was given that responsibility of being a head boy, there's my deputy was a lady called Robina. Robina just mysteriously died.
Okay.
One day she said anasikia baridi akalala hapo nje kwa nyasi. Then jioni tunaambiwa Robina died. It was really bad. We went to her funeral. I remember I'm the one who was told to talk. It was very emotional. And of course, as a kid, we didn't understand what it was.
Yes.
Squeeze watoto wa squeeze, they know what death is. Since we didn't know, unaenda tu kwa funeral, munaambiwa ongeeni, munashangaa what is this? What are you talking about? Yeah. So when my mother passed on, the whole school almost became to a standstill. As in Obwocha's mother's died. I remember I was taken from school by that day. I was given a ride, ya gari, KAU Hilux, Toyota Hilux.
KAU?
Yes. No brother Evans. Back at home, they made us shopping. They did so many things, and then the day of the burial, the whole of CP. I remember some kids walked.
By that time, the CP now had many students.
Yes. We were in Form 3.
Okay.
So you see there is Form 1, 2, and 3. Not that many. I think every class had about 15, 20. So take or leave about 50 people.
Okay.
Some of them walked, some of them came with a van. And it really made me feel I belong somewhere. And CP being a more of a rehab. Remember before I joined this school, nilikuwa nimeanza kunywa busa sana pale home. My uncle alikuwa anaitwa Machuki. Tunaenda shambani asubuhi, mchana ananipeleka mahali hivi kwa kabusa, then piga vizuri, unakuja unalala. Then kesho yake unaamka unaenda shambani. So you see, this school had more of rehabilitated me to something else.
Yes.
During the holiday unanipata at least nimeoga. Kuoga ilikuwa shida. Navaa slippers za Umoja umenunuliwa na my brothers. So unakanyaga tu vizuri. Even I think some of the ladies wana kuona tu ukipita wanasema this one has changed. So basically that is a simple journey of the initial part of me in CP. Yeah.
Amazing. And I love how I will still say this. I love how detailed you are with the story. I love how you recall almost everything. Meaning it was an amazing experience. Now post CP. Was I saw your name somewhere on the wall with how you performed, and they are really proud of you. I want you to share with our viewers how amazing you did at the KCSE, and then the life after that, how it was.
Being in CP, we didn't have a trained teacher or a teacher from an institution, a college or a university. All the teachers that Brother Sifuna used to employ were young guys who have performed well in their KCSE.
Okay.
If you have an A-, a B+, then Sifuna could bring you in to come and coach us. That's basically the name coaching program. So in that kind of scenario, Brother Sifuna had come one day when we had a small assembly at the library and told us as Form 4s ule mtu atapata C, atashukuru Mungu sana, because the schools around Raganga, Matieko had started. Hakuna mtu alikuwa anaangukia hiyo C. Ilikuwa ni C minus, the first kid. And those schools did not pick because their first exam was ilikuwa sijui D plus, C minus. So according to him, if somebody could get a C from his school as the first kid and the first examination, he'll have scored above the neighboring schools.
Yes.
Unaelewa?
Yes.
So tukafanya mock. I remember it was a joint mock when we were in Form 4. Tukafanya joint mock ya some schools, Nyabururu, Cardinal Tunga, Agoro Sare, Asumbi Girls, and some other schools. And amongst there, we, me and Steve and Joe and Beatrice, we were among the first 20. When some girls from Kyoge came hapa mahali tulikuwa tunaishi, wakatuuliza ile leakage tuko nayo tuwape. I mean, we didn't have. Yeah. And then, so immediately we did our Form 4. Honestly, because some of these things I think in Mungu tu anafanyanga. We didn't know. Me, I didn't know what I'm going to get. Nobody knew what is going to get. So, one day, the results were out. It's not like now it's digital that you will just go to your portal and you have to go to school. So the results were out. And then nobody's supposed to push you. Nobody's supposed to tell you. Remember, now my mom is not there. She was the one who really wanted a lot of education on me. So one day I just woke up. Result tumesikia zimetoka kwa radio. Saa 7 mchana taarifa habari. Results zimetoka. Yeah. Hakukuwa na egesa at that time. So I walked pole pole. Nikifika CP, Harry Brothers Funa was there. And everybody alikuwa ananisalimia. Oh, sasa na they stopped calling me Obwocha. They started calling me Mr. Obwocha.
Wow.
Mr. Obwocha, Mr. Obwocha, hey, Mr. Obwocha. I was wondering what's happening. Then he took me inside. Told me, these are your results. Hey, then he told me immediately that from Monday, now you are a teacher here. Yeah. And a roster was made there. I remember there were some teachers there. There was Atisa, there was Edna Ondieki. There was some guy in the US, Dennis Omandi. So a roster was done very fast. They adjusted that I be teaching a bit of chemistry. I teach a bit of Kiswahili and CRE. So on Monday I was in school as a teacher now.
You got rewarded immediately.
Yeah. So passed the exams to CP now as an untrained teacher. I taught for 2 years as an untrained teacher. Challenges were there, and one of the main challenge was immediately I got married.
I want to hear that part.
Yeah. Remember, brother?
2 years after high school.
Not 2 years. Immediately after high school. And remember, Brother Sifuna's vision was that we become a priest, missionaries like him. And here we are. I have a wife at home, and I've been recruited as other young guys. We've been taken to Sirikisho Center in Sikri to like start this thing. And somebody's at home.
At this point, were you sure you were getting married, or you were just a young
friend?
boy?
We were just trying this thing. So I'm trying this bit of going into religious life, and I don't know what's happening at home.
Double chance.
Yeah. I would have maybe, but I know God's judgment is always the best. I would have continued the religious life if maybe she didn't get pregnant. You understand? So as I am here, she's pregnant down there. So when I came back, and Brother Sifuna heard that Obwocha has a wife, not really a wife, a lady pregnant, he became mad. He honestly became mad to me, to an extent that he sent somebody home
to confirm.
And if that lady were to be found home, alikuwa fukuzwe na ambiwa siwa irudi hapa. But vile Mungu upanga mambo yake, nilikuwa nimemficha. Vile brother Kirui waliingia hivi na brother Kirui na brother Evans, na I think Jeremiah was there. Wakiingia hivi kwa compound, huyo anatokea kwa dirisha akienda kwa mahindi akienda. Yeah, so
at this point, do you have like a stable income to support this family?
I was employed as a teacher. I was earning 3,500, which changed really home because we managed to buy fertilizer, to buy mahindi ya kupanda, and we could at least afford to hire some women to help my wife into tilling the land. So after I became a teacher, at least kuna vile my home ilibadilika. There used to be no harvest in that compound, but at least we started harvesting 2-3 sacks of maize. Mandizi zikaanza kumea.
I want to fast forward just a bit about this story of you getting married. Just fast forward. Present life. Is the wife still there?
Yes, that's my darling. Yes, she's my.
How many years later?
We are about 24 years together.
Let's fast forward again that experience of CP, and let's get to know CP really taught you a lot. Even apart from the education, it gave you a whole experience about life. And you came from CP, you got married very early, very young. How are you doing?
As we talk, we basically put our narrative around CP. You know, CP first taught me a lot of religious life.
Okay.
As in, it's only through prayer and through belief of the church and through belief of relationship with God that you will be a person of whichever kind you want. So that is one thing that I got from CP and I hold so dearly. I go to church. I may not go like daily, not staunch like the people, other people, the Mackenzies. But I go to church and I'm a strong believer of prayer. I'm a strong believer of the rosary.
Okay.
And every morning you wake up, you at least have to do one thing that Brother Sifuna taught us. He told us that the shortest prayer that a Catholic Christian who believes in God can do, you don't need to shout a word, just do the sign of the cross and walk out. That means you've involved God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in your day. And that really is one part of me that I got from CP that I'm also trying to pass through to my siblings, my young ones. And I believe it really helped me in whatever that I do. Even here in my office, I believe as soon as, sometimes I come here on Saturdays, not to do anything,
Yes.
but to just come and pray alone and tell God that this is not my office, it is His. And anything that I do, I always give it back to the glory of God. So, past that, I always say, I cannot really tell somebody that I've achieved or I've not achieved or anything, but I always leave it to God. Sometimes there are things that you do in life, and you only do them because God has given you that brain to do them. Okay?
Yes.
In the commands of God, you don't need to kill, and you don't kill. Isn't it? You don't need to steal, and you don't steal. Isn't it?
Yes.
But God will give you a brain to judge what is good and what is bad. And what is good, do. What is bad, please don't do. Isn't it? Yeah, and that's what we are doing in life.
Sisi wengine tukiingia magari yeye upanda.
Yeah. I bought my first car with proceeds that I got from what we do. Of course, I'm a clearing agent. When I came to Nairobi, I went to KCSE to do accounting. In the process, my brother, I think, wanted me to be an accountant somewhere. So every Saturday, we used to go to his office because him already was an accountant for a farm, a clearing and forwarding farm in town, 4-way towers. So every Saturday we used to go together so that he can train me the physical part of accounting.
Yes.
For me, I was doing the theoretical part at KCSE. And in that process, I could peep on the documents that were on his table. I could see the invoice, I could see a bill of lading, I could see an L bill. So I asked him, what is this? What is this? What is this? So I developed interest. And then that interest was as well created by the kind of life his boss used to live. Remember, the boss is that uncle who told me to go to a driving school. Yeah. So that guy had money. Hey, that guy had money. Every Friday anakuja nyumbani, Saturday watu wanapanga line anawapea. Wewe uko na shida school fees shika, wewe uko na shida nini shika. I admired that, and I felt like I should elevate my family from what it is to where this mzee is. And in that way, so I continued being an accountant. At some point, I went to Kenya Science. There was a college called Kenya Science. So I tried to juggle between being a teacher, because remember I was a UT before. Being a teacher, Kenya Science, I did chemistry, maths, a diploma, and then KCSE, I did CPA. That time for a person to get, I think I am sharp. Bro, I'm very sharp. That time for a person to get a reward with KCSE was a problem. When I was doing my section 2, there were 3 subjects. Financial accounts, kuna auditing, na kuna ingine ilikuwa inaitwa sijui statistics, something like that. I can't remember the kitambo. For the 3 subjects, I got awards of 2 subjects. I got checks kutoka KCSE 1,000.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Stuff. I remember sharing that with Brother Funa, and he was like, hey, how? Young man, how?
And all this while you're still married?
Yeah. So Brother Funa came on later on land, na alikuwa amekasirika sana na mimi because that was bad. According to him, but according to God, God's plan. Right now he always says that I proved him wrong. But unajua Mungu ni Mungu tu. So sisi tunapanga. I think I'll apologize to him and tell him it's God's plan.
It's God's plan.
Yeah.
So
I was telling you about the how I tried to juggle with poverty so that we come up with something. So because I had interest about this clearing and forwarding thing,
Oh, yes.
when I finished my college, I first of all finished Kenya Science earlier because it was a diploma of 2 years. And then CPA there's a time I took some time, then I went for CPA, which I got a job with Kenafric Industries, Babadogo, as a cost accountant. But I don't know how those things used to happen. That I'm an accountant earning 72,000, but ikifika tarehe 5 sina pesa. 72,000. Tarehe 5 I don't have money.
Which year is this?
That was 2005.
That was good money by then.
72,000. But ikifika tarehe 5, as long as nimelipa rent na nimelipa nini, I don't have anything. Nikajiuliza, what is this? I remember telling one guy called George, hapa siko. Siwezi kaa hapa sana. I stayed at Kenafric for only 7 months and walked out. That time I came because I had come to the airport, JKIA. So I came to JKIA. Nikakaa tu hapo kwa mawe. Nikakaa tu. I had a friend of mine, Kikuyu friend of mine, who could come pick me from Kariobangi where I used to stay. Tunakuja. The good thing is, I think God made it in a way that I came to an environment where people didn't know much. People have not gone to school. And there's a lot of computation that is needed. And there's a lot of computation. Yes, to school. And there's a lot of computation that is needed for you to please the taxman. And that is KRA. So guys used to come to me. Able to pigia hesabu ya. That time we used to do manual. Unapiga FOB, CIF, unamwambia hii unafaa kulipa hii. So I became like a calculator somewhere here. Somebody comes with an invoice, I calculate FOB, namwambia you're supposed to pay this. Then wanaenda wanalipa, then it gives me 200, 400, 500 when there's no change. And sometimes I could pull mzigo. There was a guy who used to imitate Moi. We could pull with him mzigo. Jioni unapewa 100, then you go home. So when I realized all this, I felt like if I could come up with a small company, registered, duly registered and has all the papers, and I request KRA to give me a license for clearing in a very honest way and in a very organized way, I'll have made a change. All these guys who are calculating their documents by hand and taking to one particular guy to go and do them processes, I will take them as my clients. And I remember that time, towards the end of 2005, Kenya Revenue Authority had documented that they are to improve their systems from manual to automated system, which was called Simba. So we were among the first guys who were trained. Remember, the guys I've come to are guys who don't know so much about computer. The computer, the 2000 millennium thing, people didn't know. People thought ukijifunza computer you are going to die. So some of us tulijifunza. So it happened that me and some other guy, we were about 5 people, are the only guys who were able to do entries kwa computer. Then that uncle called me back and took me to his office and told me, utakuwa unanifanyia tu wewe unaenda. I used to work for almost 6 companies on part-time, on a contract basis. Bring an entry na kuwekea, naenda nalala saa 7 usiku, by saa 12 asubuhi tena nimeamuka, I'm in my uncle's office, napatia watu documents zenye nimewafanyia, nimeprint. Your energy. So from there then I decided, now let me have my own. Once I got my own, let me tell you something about about God. You sometimes are wondering why I'm talking about God so much. If God has planned this thing for you and you give him that leeway, you give him the space to mold you, he'll always take you step by step.
Yes.
So when I started my company, and in a very honest way, I went to 2-3 clients and they gave me work. And I did that work diligently. I did it so honestly and very transparent to my client. And that's how, from that, I became Pole Pole. I registered my company 2007, but I started operating officially 2008. And since 2008, just like that. Up to
God
now.
has been great.
Very, very, yeah.
So now, because you're in a comfortable space,
I'm not very comfortable, but I'm there. You know, God will not give you everything that you want. God will give you a space for you to toil and get what you want. So in the process of toiling, you might give up. Ukisema, hey, I'm not comfortable, I'm not nini. But if you persist and move from one stone to another, you can't really be very comfortable.
that's true.
But you will be somewhere where you are at least better than you are.
You are at least better.
Better than I was, yes.
Okay.
For those people who know my home, Brother Funa, Brother Evans, my relatives,
Me.
You came when it's already a home. For those people who know my home, when they come home now, they tend to believe like it's a miracle, a testimony that need to be shared. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. And one thing I've always said, I don't do this to earn money from this. I don't do this to be paid. I genuinely want to touch a life or two. I genuinely want to. There is a very young man somewhere seated, and they are looking at their odds of life, and they seem like the odds don't favor them. Personally, I have my own story, and I know odds can unfavor someone, if that is English. And I want you to, you see, your story is so inspiring. For someone who have come from nothing, like some of us, it's really inspiring. So I want you to take just 1 minute, yes, to say something of hope to that one young man seated somewhere and a young woman seated somewhere, thinking that maybe this life is not meant for someone like me. It's meant for someone else.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, inspiration always comes deep from the individual himself or herself. By this is what I mean. Sometimes worldly things do make us deviate from what God plans for us.
Okay.
In that I mean, when you are a young person and you leave God to guide you through your life, as I can say, there will be nothing impossible. God will always take you through one step to another. However hard it will look, however simple it will look, God will always make you jump from one hurdle to another until you become something. It's always God. The reason why I'm saying this is because at some point when my home was really very poor, and my primary school became so difficult, I honestly decided to run home. I went to KCSE town and became one of the best chokoras that you can ever see. For 2 months. Nobody was getting me. I used to go to a place called, for those people who know KCSE town, a place called Herrera. I go and sleep there. The following morning I walk in town, unangoja mama ameweka mandizi yake ile yenye imeiva vizuri, you pick 3, you run, go eat. That's the time we had music like Chakademas and Pliers. I could go to a music store, dance out there. For 2 months, I was out of home because things were really difficult. But again, when things are very difficult, your brain works like a machine. That time, you want things to work out. And in that process, if you leave God to toil you, if you leave God to take you through the light like a beam, unaona kama kwa stage ile ya theater, unaonanga place yote ni giza, lakini ule mtu mwenye amemulikwa ni ule mwenye ana perform. So huyu mtu akiamua aende outside the beam, so unajua yeye ndiye atatoroka, but the beam itakuwa imemulika. So you just leave God to mulika you with that beam. Young guys, let them not run away from that beam of God. Let them stay within that beam, and then God will take them from one. Hakuna mtu Mungu ameumba hii dunia akuje kuteseka. But sometimes the things that we do as human beings zinatutoa away from God, and then now sasa mateso inaanza kukuja. So the most important thing I can tell young guys who are growing right now is to let God be in their life. To let God guide them through. And anything they do, let them put it in prayer. So that when you're praying, one day nilikuwa natafuta kazi ya Chinese sana. Sai I work with a lot of Chinese. And I went to church to Don Bosco, Upper Hill. I had approached those Chinese guys for their work. And that guy now is my friend. When he picked my call, I said, no, nothing, Kenyan wrong, no. But I went to church and prayed over that. Imagine when I walked out of the prayer hall, the how do you call it? The chapel. When I walked out of the chapel, iko downstairs. Before nifike kwa gari yangu, a phone call was calling me. And imagine who? That same Chinese guy who refused to talk to me. Are you Edward? Yes. Where are you? I told him I'm up here. Can you come to my office at the Aya Center? I went. And that's how I got his job. So anything you do within the prayer setup. And when you're praying, believe that anything you pray about is going to happen. Because saa zingine, guys pray. You know you cannot put God into test. At you're praying, you want a car. And if it's 1 year, 2 years, you've not gotten that car, then you start saying, "Ay, oh Mungu maze." No, it may take you ages, but at some point you will get. God will decide to answer you immediately, or maybe God will answer you after a while.
I always take one word or two, the main word in every interview we take, and this one I'm getting, that in everything you do it with prayer.
Yes.
That's a very powerful statement right there. So thank you sir. Asante sana for your story. I think this is more than inspiring.
I specifically take this opportunity to thank Brother Sifuna and his team. That man came to our lives. Brother Sifuna came to our lives, and specifically to my life as a God sent. First, he came, changed my life from being that very naughty boy. Because most of the time we used to emulate his life. He's a very humble human being.
Yes.
I've gone to his home. The family is just humble. They are always in prayer. And anytime I think of him, I always think of him as a dad. Sometimes I feel before I eat, I should call him to come and eat. Ndio tuendelee. And he will always. I've given him a position of being my dad, and I always tell every CP alumni, every CP young man and girl, to have, however much they have their parents, to have Brother Sifuna as their second parent. Because were it not for Brother Sifuna, some of the guys that passed through CP, especially the first guys, before the school was taken by the government, the first guys were honorably and honestly picked to come and study at CP. First, because they were poor. Second, because they were bright. Okay. So that combination, and then later on you find a friend of mine who's called Dr. Tandi, now being called a doctor. He really needs to thank Brother Sifuna for that.
Yes.
Brother Sifuna and your team, I've always been talking to Brother Evans Omosa, who later on I think left the Brotherhood, Brother Kirui, and all the brothers of CMM. Thank you so much, and may really God keep you there. May God keep you there for you guys to keep the good work that you're doing, the missionary work that you're doing. And for us as young people, we really need to choose the church men and women that we can emulate. And I believe for Brother Sifuna being one of them, we thank God that we were given him for us to follow his teachings and his way of life. He taught us a lot. He really taught us a lot. And he's still doing until now. Sometimes I call him on the phone, and when I finish talking to him, I take about 5 minutes to wipe out my tears, because he always tells us the way it is. He doesn't lie. He always tells us the way it is. And Brother Sifuna, honestly, thank you so much. I will have not, if I'm taken back to time, I don't think I'll choose any other dad more than you. I wish you all well for you. I wish good health for you. And I always thank God that we are in communication. And we are looking forward to going to visit the people that we've agreed we are going to visit together. One of the people we are going to visit, me and Brother Sifuna, is Mr. Jeremiah. Mr. Jeremiah is more of like the first principal of St. Patrick's, the CP. So we are looking forward to go visit him. And of course, with the guidance of Brother Sifuna. I know he's also praying for me. He's also praying for the alumni. He's also praying for the school. And we wish that everything goes well for him. I thank the CP fraternity that they chose to name the modern laboratory after Brother Sifuna. I wish they made a celebration, hata ningenunua ng'ombe, so that tukule hapo pamoja na watu wengine. But thank you so much, Brother Sifuna. Thank you so much. May God really help you in whatever that you're doing, in any endeavor that you're doing. May God really help you.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to borrow a leaf or two from this story, and I want you to try and be amazing. I want you to live a life that watu wazima wanaweza kuongelea na karibu walie. I love this. I honestly love. I'm honestly amazed by the goodness of this Brother Sifuna. I told him face to face, and I'll say it again on this camera. Keep doing what you're doing, sir. You have no idea how God is using you out here. So, ladies and gentlemen, from us, Talk with Kel, from my amazing team. Of course, my director is one of the most creative directors I've met. That is Kevin Matz. He weka details zake hapo chini kwa hiyo video. So once you get to see this video, you'll see his contacts. Kindly, I will say this from my own heart. Amini huyo jamaa. Asanteni sana. Thanks for keeping it here. This is Kev. This is Talks with Kev. Kindly remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And no, I need to.